Many people describe their relationships as unhappy, which really just means that there currently exists a gap between what they expected and what they're actually experiencing in the relationship. And then we attempt to explain why we're experiencing the unhappiness with a myriad of reasons, and most of the time it's pointed at the other person in the relationship. But I believe there is one core issue that drives unhappiness in marriage, and that's what we're going to talk about today on Relationshots. Welcome to Relationshots. My name's Eric Wooten, and if this is your first time stopping by, we're so glad you're here. Go ahead and click the subscribe button and the bell notification so you don't miss upcoming opportunities to take your relationship to the next level. Today, we're going to talk about what I believe is the number one cause for unhappiness in marriage and how to recognize its presence in your relationship. There are many behaviors in marriage that undermine the unity of the relationship, but I believe the core issue and the most common issue is one word. It's called immaturity. Yeah, all of your relational issues are actually maturity issues. One or both of you in the relationship has not grown in maturity, and so you keep reacting or acting in ways that cause conflict and separation in the relationship. Here's a guarantee. Every one of us are going to grow old, but it is not a guarantee that all of us will actually grow up. That requires intentionality and action on your part. See, when we have immaturity in the relationship, what we do is we fill the gap between expectation and actual experience with mistrust, with suspicion, with believing the worst of the other person, and that causes the relationship to deteriorate over time. Right now, some of you are thinking to yourself, nah, I'm mature. That's not my issue. It might be my spouse's issue. But I want to help us out today. So I'm going to reveal today to you 5 characters that show up in your relationship that are indicators of a lack of maturity in the relationship. Here we go. Number 1, the victim. This is the person that doesn't take responsibility for anything, and instead they try to shift back blame to the other person. Now, it may stem out of rejection issues or some abandonment issues or something deeper, but nonetheless, whenever you try to bring something to them, and it may be something specific, like you saying to your spouse, I would really like it if you could help me a little more around the house in this area. And instead of focusing on just what you said, no matter how well you brought it, how gentle, how specific, how truthful, they're going to universalize and generalize it and say, oh, I'm just a horrible wife. Oh, I'm just a horrible husband. They're going to play the victim in order to get out of the pressure and trial in their life. They don't really want it to happen. And they're always looking for an external source for everything that's happened in their life. These are the people that say stuff like, oh man, the devil sure has been busy. I've really been under attack lately. No, you made a bad decision. This is the consequence of the bad decision. So the best thing for you to do is take responsibility for your decision, because then you can change it for the better and move in a different direction. But the victim is always pointing the blame on something outside of themselves, which really renders them powerless from doing anything about what's going on in the relationship. That's the victim. Character number 2 is the scorekeeper. And some of you, I don't even have to explain it. You already know, yeah, that's me. See, the scorekeeper, they really never forget everything. Now, you think they're overlooking an offense, but really they're just chalking it down on their ledger. So the scorekeeper really rarely is in the attack, but their retaliation game is so strong. The scorekeeper is the person where you bring something to them and say, hey, it'd be great if you could pick up your socks and quit leaving them around the floor in the bedroom. And they'll respond with something like, what was that? Excuse me? You said I did what? Oh, did you forget how you? And what follows next is 10 years worth of offense that you have done. One after the, it's like a shock and awe campaign. One after the other, after the other, after the other. They're going to remind you that if you bring anything to them, they've been keeping track of all the stuff that you've done in their life. See, this is the person, their golden rule is simply do unto others what has been done unto them. They're the scorekeeper. You may not know they're keeping score, but you try to present something to them and all of a sudden you're going to be reminded of all the things you've done in the past, the scorekeeper. Number 3 is the keeping it real person. This is the person that just goes, man, people know who I am. I'm just real. I just keep it 100. No, you're selfish, you're mean, and you're rude. and you think that you get to throw up whatever you're feeling in the moment and then move on, and everyone else has to deal with what you dropped. So they love to run around dropping their little truth bombs on everybody with no regard how the collateral damage is impacting others and the relationship overall. But they're just keeping it real, so you really can't call them on it. These are the people that love to say, no offense, but, and then say something offensive. Or, I don't mean to be rude, but, and then they're rude. That's contradictory. What you really need to start with is, sorry to be rude, but, or sorry to offend you, but, because you know what you're about to do is be rude and offend, but you like to cloak it in truth and hide behind the idea that I'm just keeping it real. Basically what you're saying is when you're in your feelings, you get to say whatever you want, and then when you're out of your feelings, the other person should move on just like you've moved on. That's the keeping it real person. Number 4 is the agitator. Yeah, that's the person that will never miss an opportunity to stir the pot. They're the kind of people that they walk into a calm, peaceful situation and it almost doesn't feel right to them. So they're like, I gotta stir something up. Chaos is what makes me feel a little bit comfortable. See, they see a fire and instead of going, how can I put it out? They say, why would I want to put it out when I can just add a little more fuel to the fire? These are the people that love to poke and poke and poke and poke and poke and poke. And when the other person finally blows up, they look at the other person with judgment and condemnation like, what in the world? You need to get a hold of yourself. You need to control your emotions. When all they've been doing is agitating, agitating, agitating. What this person basically is saying is my needs and desires are more important than anybody else's needs and desires. So what I feel like doing in the moment, it just is what it is, but you do not have the right to react poorly or I'm going to make you pay for it. That's the agitator. And number 5, finally, number 5 is the escape artist. Yeah, whenever trouble, conflict, trials come in a relationship, they're like Houdini. They're just gone. You're like, what happened? I thought we were trying to resolve conflict. They don't like conflict. It makes them feel uncomfortable. They don't like suffering. They don't like pain. They don't like hard work or trials. So whenever those things come and whenever the pressure comes, they're going to slide out the back door. It's hard to pin these people down and actually figure out what's going on in the relationship because it makes them uncomfortable. These are not the people that when they find themselves in trials, these are not the people that are going to pray for endurance to make it through and that God's will be done in their life. These are the people that pray, God, get rid of it, take it away. I don't like pain. Quit making me suffer. They do not want to accept responsibility. They do not want to sit in the middle of a conflict. They don't understand that the pathway to intimacy is often through conflict. So they want to go around it. They want to avoid it. They want to sweep it under the rug. Think Teflon. Nothing sticks to them. They're evasive. They're all over the place. You can't pin anything on them. They're the escape artist. And while a lot of times they come out looking good, the problem is they'll never be part of the solution because they're always running from the problem. The escape artist. So listen, there's 5 characters that show up in your marriage because of your or your spouse's immaturity. But when you think about immaturity, it really falls into 3 categories, and this is important. Immaturity falls into the categories of ignorance, inability, or unwillingness. And these all have different approaches. If ignorance is the issue, then the solution is really gaining more knowledge, getting some help and some tools so that you can overcome it in the relationship. Maybe read a book, go to a seminar, a conference, get in some other people's lives. But you can overcome that because it's just a lack of knowledge. The second category that immaturity falls into is inability. Now, you may have some knowledge and some information, but you really can't figure out how to put it into practice. And I would recommend the solution for these people would be get some mentors in your life, maybe see a counselor or a trusted friend, somebody to hold you accountable to say, I think I know what to do, but I just don't know how to walk it out. Can you meet with us and help us through this season of conflict? The last category is just unwillingness. The person is just selfish and does not want to do the things that need to be done to grow in maturity so the relationship can get better. And for them, the solution is really, you gotta at some point decide that the pain is enough that you don't want to sit in it and you need to go find some help. You need to maybe get some counseling for personal self-work, maybe go to a recovery ministry or something that will help you uncover why you're continuing to be immature and not growing in your relationship. But you really need accountability and somebody who's going to hold your feet to the fire so that you can grow in this area. So there they are, the 5 characters of immaturity, the categories they fall into. I look forward to discussing this with you and having a little dialogue in the comment section below. Here's what I want you to do. If nothing else, I want you to identify one of these characters that you can kind of relate with and put that in the comment section below. And let's have a little fun with it as we try to figure out how to grow in maturity so that our relationships can grow in health. I look forward to seeing you next time right here on Relationshots.